As a follow-up to Rant-A-Wreck episode 3, I've discovered more things that are wrong with the machines and devices today. Since I already talked about the compatibility issues on computers and the pixel resolution of regular channels and the dumb button layout on HD TVs, it's time to move on to other issues. Now, what other thing could possibly have flaws? Well, you'll probably jump when you hear this. Cars! What on earth is wrong with cars today, I hear you claim? Well, calm yourself and allow me to explain. For the most part, the ways cars perform today are great. Yet, when it comes to certain parts, there are three minor things that don't seem right. Digital screens for certain elements like the speedometer, temperature gauge, and fuel gauge, electric window openers, and remotes that make the car honk. First, let's discuss the electric window openers. The car has to be turned on in order for the openers to be operated, obviously. So if it starts to rain or snow and your windows are open, you have to get your keys, turn on the automobile, operate the buttons, and finally turn off the vehicle. But what if you misplace your keys as well as a spare key? Say hello to a huge pile of cabin snow or big puddles on the seats, if the car isn't in a garage. While misplacing your car keys is very rare, it still happens. Do you remember window crankers? They were better since you didn't have to go to all that trouble. They could be operated with or without the automobile on. But you know what's really sad? When I was discussing window crankers with my car dealer, he mentioned that only 2% of the auto industry use them. And yet people say that's progress? Yeah, right! By the way, if the car goes into water, the engine shortens out and you wouldn't be able to control the windows. Now let's discuss the digital meters and gauges. This is very minor, but the problem with these things is that if a fuse is blown, you wouldn't ever be able to see how fast you were going, how cold or hot the cabin is, how much gas you have left, and so on. At least with needle-based gauges, a blown fuse isn't too big a problem except during the night. Finally, we come to the cars that make a tiny honk when you use their remotes. This also may be incredibly minor, but by my standards, it sounds like the driver is trying to get a pedestrian's attention when it's not their intent to begin with. The chirping sound doesn't have that problem. Better yet, vehicles that are silent are the least distracting. Now we come to the second thing, the internet. For the most part, the internet can be very important for certain information. News stories, video game walkthroughs, etc. However, the problem with these is that in order to get to the websites, you can pay up to $12,000 for a computer. If you were going to use a game console, you'd pay up to $150. It's true that there are tons of wealthy people who can afford those items, but what the community really doesn't seem to realize is that there are also poor people who can't afford something as expensive. Of course, internet cafes are much cheaper. In spite of that, no matter what computer you use, the net can go down for a long time by way of a big mess up or hackers. Because of the web, newspapers and video rental places like Blockbuster are in trouble. When video rental stores and newspapers are lost, everything gets more expensive and the poor get squeezed out. In the long run, I can't justify spending about $900 to get onto Netflix.com and create an account just so I can rent a movie when I can visit Redbox or Blockbuster and get what I want for just $1. I could say the same thing about payphones. Cell phones can cost about $20 to $200, and payphones usually only cost 50 cents to use. If a poor person purchases a cell phone, they can easily run out of minutes. Once that happens, they may need to use a payphone to make a call if they're away from home. Also, much like misplacing your car keys, you could forget your mobile phone by accident, and if you need to make an urgent call, it's time for payphone hunting. Going back to the internet topic, what if in the future we would have to buy electronics strictly from BestBuy.com instead of the store, or hardware from the Home Depot's official website? American life is being turned upside down, and I don't think for good reasons. Something else I have begun to have a beef with is online school classes. Again, does nearly everything have to be over cyberspace? The only advantage I can see with online classes is not having to drive to the school, especially in bad weather. Being in a classroom is better because you're always required to listen and do the assignments. Online classes can work the other way around. The information superhighway is the most distracting thing on the planet, and some students can easily stray from the college website and do poorly. Of course, things similar to this have happened in the past, although something tells me it's more severe these days. The cartoon short Internet Distractions by College Humor paints a clear picture on how diverting the World Wide Web is. In conclusion, don't throw out window crankers, video rental stores and newspapers should continue to thrive for decades, and online school classes can't be treated as another internet amusement.